Alrighty, what's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back. Doc finally back. Good to have you. Already sick once again, doing another Foo Game 2.0. Me back again like I never left. Second pay-per-view of the year for you guys. UFC 298 in Anaheim, California, February 17th. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your loved ones. And we're gonna waste no time on this one. How we boys feeling about this card overall after that great card we had last weekend, that Hermanson Pfeiffer? I know I already loved that card.
I think long have we waited for something that we are looking forward to. This is a great main card, and I think so far most cards this year have been kind of hit and a miss. So I'm really looking forward to this. We have to wash away the memories of UFC 297 and have 298 be the last big pay-per-view that we talk about.
Couldn't agree more. Doc, how we feeling about this card?
Yeah, definitely a tough start to the year with UFC 298 looking fantastic. 299 looking like one of the best cards of all time. So, this will be a nice warm-up for 299.
And we got 300 in like under 2 months coming up here, man. It's a great time to be alive.
I'll say 299 is looking way, way better than 300 at this point. I think that a lot of people would agree, but my understanding is that Dana is trying to drop a blockbuster fight at some point during the lead up to 298 for 300. Excited to see what that is. But yeah, let's get the Pfeiffer Hermanson card out of the brain and get a bunch of great fights.
And never want to talk about that card ever again. Alrighty, obviously the main event. Start with Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus El Matador Ilia Topuria. Volkanovski minus 130, Topuria plus 110. Volkanovski is 26-3 in his career, coming off a loss for the lightweight title, obviously against Islam Makhachev, who caught him pretty good with that sweet leg kick. Volk had an interview and a clip that leaked that showed that he said, obviously he took the fight on an 11-day notice, but he was drinking every day leading up to the fight. Wasn't himself. He was in a very deep, dark place. The birth of his daughter, and now he's finally got his featherweight title to defend. Hopefully he's in a better mindset, and he's looking to go out there, show why he's a veteran, show why he's one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time and the greatest featherweight fighter of all time if he gets this win. And he's got a big cloud over his head, and he's got to defeat the EA cover curse here. We'll see if he can do that. And then obviously on the other side we got Ilia Topuria, 27 years old, 6-0. I only have seen one fighter in the featherweight division in this spot ever in my life, and that was Conor McGregor. So we'll see if Topuria can channel some championship aura, get it done in Anaheim, and he's already taken pictures with the belt behind the scenes, pissing off Volk and just playing mind games and trying to get in his head. And without further ado, we'll get right into the picks. I know we want Doc to start on this one today. One for being absent for the past few weeks, having some fun on the slopes, and your take on who's going to win versus Volk in Topuria.
Yeah, super exciting matchup here. And we were kind of talking behind the scenes. I have no idea how Volkanovski is minus 130 for this. In my opinion, he should be a much bigger favorite. Volkanovski is the best featherweight I've ever seen. If Topuria is able to beat Volkanovski, this will be like the Conor McGregor Jose Aldo moment. But it's gonna take something magical, and that's exactly what Volkanovski said. Volkanovski, the first time he fought Islam Makhachev, was like plus 250 or something. The fact that we're making these odds so much closer for Topuria versus Volkanovski, it doesn't make sense to me. Topuria, early on in his career, he fought Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert was seconds away from knocking out Ilia Topuria. Alexander Volkanovski in that position ends Topuria's life. And, I don't expect this to go the distance. The only thing that we don't know is how beat up is Volkanovski's chin after Islam Makhachev head kicked him. But Volkanovski is so ready. He loves the trash talk. He loves the intensity. This guy used to be a rugby player. The things that they say in the huddle for during rugby matches. I can only imagine, and this is just fueling him. Topuria's fighting with fire, but Volkanovski, in my opinion, will come out on top. It will not take the whole time. Topuria will get knocked out, most likely. And that's what I see happening here. So I think that it would be insane not to take Volkanovski at minus 130 here. Ilia Topuria has a fighter's chance, but it'll be a great fight. It's going to end early.
Ready?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, and that's why I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski. I do think he is the greatest featherweight of all time. I don't think he needs to prove anything else to us. That was a crazy comment, Alex, saying that this would be the fight that makes him the greatest featherweight of all time. I think he's already beat the allegations. That first fight against Makhachev, he was honestly, some people thought he won that on the decision, and so I I don't think there's really anybody in the featherweight division that beats Alexander Volkanovski. And just like Doc said, Ilia Topuria has a fighter's chance, right? We've seen crazy things happen before. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman in Utah, right? Things like that do happen, and that's why we watch the UFC, because sometimes those last few seconds, those guys can just pump something out. And, I'm not sure. It'll be an interesting fight, but I do think Alexander, with his experience and just pedigree in the featherweight division, does pull this out. And I don't think this one's going to decision. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I want to see Alex back in the W column, coming off some dark stuff for that fight in October. I'm excited for this one. On to you, Alex.
Well, I'm glad you called me crazy, because call me crazy for going against Volk, but I think Topuria is a really, really good bet. We were also, just to comment, we were talking behind the scenes, Doc, you said Volk, you could see Volk being a minus 250 line. I definitely see that narrative as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, right before the fight, you go to check your sports betting app and it's a pick'em, just because that's how they normally lock these fights when they're big, two hype guys. And this is probably one of the best title fights to start the year and the whole year we might see. In my opinion, I think this is a huge fight. I'm excited. I'm glad this is a good gift that Dana's throwing us the bone from that awful 297 card in Toronto. But Topuria, I just see it going different. I know Topuria has a lot of weaknesses, but he's calm, he's cool, collective. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, where have I seen someone calm, cool, and collective when someone else is struggling? And it was the last card with DDP, and I was right on that one. So we'll see. We'll see if I keep the 2-0 streak. But yeah, no, I think Goat Volkanovski is solidified for sure. I think if he wins or loses, his legacy isn't tarnished or anything. But I can see the MMA community really not letting him live this down after doing the old geezer video, the 11-day notice. The MMA community is going to have a field day with him, which sucks to see because you love the guy. He's such a great personality. But I see Topuria winning this one. I think this one goes to championship rounds. I don't think it goes to decision, though. I think someone's going to get finished. So we'll have to wait and see. This one's going to be really exciting.
Last thing I'll say is I don't think Topuria is even number 2 in the featherweight division.
He's
I think
fifth.
He loses. I don't think he's the second best fighter in the featherweight division. I think he loses to Max Holloway 95 times out of 100.
Wow.
I'll say one more thing too. I like Ilia, but I don't know that he necessarily has the type of aura that he has been trying to present to the world. I don't think the trash talking, wearing the belt before the fight, and everybody's coming up and telling him, like, that's bad luck, don't do that. Like, I don't know what he's been really thinking, because in my mind, before any of that really would be, before he said this is going to be the easiest fight of his life, I was like, maybe there is a chance that something could go right for Ilia. And then he did all that, and I just can't stomach with putting him on my pick list. So
I also heard as of last week he had 17 more pounds to lose. So have fun dieting, sir.
Yeah, we'll have to see. The weight cut is definitely going to be tough for Topuria more than it will be for Volk, because Volk's normally used to fighting at this weight. So We'll see. We'll see who's right in the end. This one's going to be a fun one nonetheless, if I'm right or wrong. I know I'll have the popcorn ready for this one. And yeah, looking really, really good for this this card to start. Moving along, we got our co-main event. Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. And as I like to call him, Bobby Knuckles. Bobby Knuckles is obviously coming off that loss against Dracus du Plessis at UFC 290 back in July. He's looking to put a stop to Paulo Costa, who's 14-2. Rob Whittaker minus 260, Paulo Costa plus 210. Whittaker 25-7, Costa 14-2. I think this one's obviously a ringer for the Ring Boys here. So if we could hit that bell, please. Paulo Costa is looking to get back up the ranks and try to solidify his name in the ballot box for a title fight per his recent statements after beating Luke Rockhold. We've seen Paulo, pull out of consistently more than enough fights that I have fingers on my hands. So it's kind of weird that he's saying, oh yeah, if I win this, I'm due for a title shot. That's just kind of crazy. But Artie and I feel the same way on this fight, I think, where you're like actually shocked we're actually getting a Paulo Costa fight and he's actually going to fight. But pending, we're recording on Valentine's Day. If he misses weight and I just jinxed it, I'm sorry. But yeah, this one I think is a clear Bobby Knuckles win, finish, make Paulo look bad. Let's move on with the business.
Let me take it from here. His last fight, I just looked it up, August 20th, 2022. Paulo Costa, I don't expect him to show up. Honestly, he's trying to build up his social media, and that's the main thing on his mind. Whittaker had a tough loss against du Plessis, and I honestly was shocked to see him go down so easily, and not exactly sure what happened there. But Whittaker has been a killer in this division for a really long time. Costa doesn't fight anymore, so I do expect Whittaker to win here. I would like to see Costa back there, but if he doesn't show up to this one, I think it's time for him to go. He's not really providing much for the UFC, and I can't wait to hear Artie's talk on this, because we know how much Artie hates people that don't show up to fight in the ring. Paulo Costa is a top two guy like that in the UFC.
Yeah, and he took away from us a treat, like that was going to be him and Khamzat Chimaev. We were all, I think everybody was looking forward to it, even though we got a much better fight out of it anyway. I cannot stand this guy. Like, social media warrior, doesn't show up to fights, and that's why I went with Robert Whittaker. I think he's going to be winning this fight. I could see it going to decision, because I think Rob's going to be fighting pretty smart in this one. Just because Paulo, obviously, he had 5 fights in the last 5 years. So there will be ring rust, and he could just kind of dance his way around, make sure he builds up enough points to win the fight. And I think he will do exactly that, just to make sure that his ranking stays the same and he continues on in his projection in the middleweight division. Alex?
Couldn't agree more. Paulo is voted, as many women like to call, the prettiest boy in the UFC, and I think he's just a pretty boy. He's not a fighter. He's not ready to go bear for bear with Bobby Knuckles, and he's going to get finished within 3 rounds. So I do want to bring up, he obviously was supposed to fight on that magical night for the Dagestani Gucci flip-flop parlay, but he ruined it. He got surgery on his right elbow. You guys think, that happened in what, October-ish? 4 months for an elbow? Is that even enough time to recover?
I think it was staph infection, right? So it's not like...
No, Paulo Costa had a elbow surgery, didn't he?
I thought it was because of staph infection.
Oh, I don't know how to answer this question. Paulo Costa doesn't fight. What is he recovering from?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It says Brazilian pulled out due to injury. Brazilian underwent surgery for an infection on his right elbow only, weeks before the fight. So maybe you're right on that staph infection. I don't know why I thought he broke something. But yeah, I don't know. It's getting surgery, and for a guy who doesn't fight, is obviously going to have ring rust. I don't know why we're giving him this much airtime. I think Bobby Knuckles on the under on 2.5 rounds. It's a pretty good bet. Pretty good bet in my eyes. But
I can
nonetheless,
honestly say I don't remember the Luke Rockhold Paulo Costa fight, probably because it really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
That's when
Rockhold came out of retirement like to fight Costa. I remember Marvin Vittori, and I remember Israel Adesanya, and I remember Yoel Romero against Paulo Costa, and that's the real Paulo Costa we like to see. But he's become irrelevant.
and
yeah,
that go ahead.
I was gonna say that Luke Rockhold fight was hilarious. They like Paulo was on the verge of losing that because Luke was kind of piecing him up towards the end. I still remember they had like a grappling exchange where Luke Rockhold just wiped his whole bloody face on his face. It was gross. But I don't think that Paulo hasn't beaten a ranked fighter and that's on the UFC roster now. So I mean, I don't think he stands a chance.
He's had 4 fights canceled, and this one against
He has
Robert
canceled
Whitaker.
4 fights. He has canceled 4 fights. It's not about it.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's had 4 fights canceled in a row. This being one of them that should have been had. That Luke Rockhold fight was canceled before, and it was pushed over three months in advance. Didn't fight last year because he canceled against Khamzat Chimaev, which we just brought up. Canceled against Ikram Aliskerov, and then canceled the Robert Whitaker fight. And now finally, it's like, I'm glad you decided to show up. Let's get you off the card and get you out of the rankings and out of the UFC. I'm sick and tired of talking about him.
He's a PFL fighter.
Sick and tired talking about him. We're moving on. All right, welterweight fight. Third fight here on the card. We got Jeff Neal fighting Ian Gary. Ian Gary was supposed to fight back on which card was it that he was supposed to fight that he pulled out when he had pneumonia? Was it 297?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
So Ian Gary pulls out, has pneumonia. They reschedule the fight for him to fight Jeff Neal instead of Vincente Luque. Jeff Neal, funny clip I saw for him behind the scenes. The guy's had the same suitcase his entire UFC career. It is literally duct taped together. He was on Rampage Jackson's podcast. He's in Anaheim looking for an upset over Ian Gary. Ian Gary obviously had that drama with his wife, and many influencers and Sean Strickland saying things and Colby Covington saying things. And on the behind the scenes video, they showed a clip of Ian Gary playing UFC with himself finally, because they finally put him in the game, and he was fighting against Colby Covington, which I thought was hilarious. But nonetheless, I got Ian Gary in this one. I think he's going to extend the undefeated streak to 14. Ian Gary minus 240 is my pick. And yeah, I think that Jeff Neal won't be able to do enough. Ian Gary's going to show levels. The guy is basically Brazilian. He was training with Charles Oliveira in Brazil, finally decided to fly over for this the week of. He's going to be locked, ready to prove some people wrong. And he even said, I think on MMA Hour or some podcast, that he has a plan to beat whoever's in his way and go for a title shot in 2025. So we'll see if that holds true. Doc?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jeff Neal here. It's not that I don't want Ian Gary to win. I think Ian Gary is a great fighter. I think he has great stand-up game. Jeff Neal, similar to Neil Magny, both gatekeepers in this division. So everybody that needs to become a ranked fighter has to get through those two guys. Ian Gary struggled against Neil Magny, went to decision in that fight. Jeff Neal is going to be very similar. And, we've seen a few hype trains derailed. The infamous Azat Maxim got derailed. Joe Pyfer got derailed. These vets know how to deal with these up and coming stars, and I really enjoy watching Ian Gary, and he is a great fighter. I think that talent wise, he has more talent than Jeff Neal, but he needs to stay calm and collected in order to win this fight. And I think with everything going on in his life, Jeff Neal will find a way to win. Probably not by knockout, not submission. Probably go to decision, but that's what I see happening here.
Right. Yeah, I think you have some good points. I do think Ian Gary is a much more talented fighter. So that's part of the reason why I'm picking him for Saturday night. I do agree that there are a few gatekeepers in each division, and Jeff Neal is exactly that. I mean, I don't know. I just picked Ian Gary because, like you said, there's more talent there. I think he's a good, well-rounded fighter. He has shown poise when he is fighting. So I'm assuming I'm going to go like the opposite way, but I'm assuming since there's been so much going on in his personal life, he has to come out and show that none of that is bothering him and that he's a UFC fighter, and that when he gets in the octagon, that's the only thing that he's worried about. And I think he will do that on Saturday. However, I would not be surprised if Jeff Neal pulls this off and upsets Ian Gary. Like you said, crazier things have happened. I don't think anybody expected Joe Pfeiffer to lose, and that happened. Neil Magny be the kid from Canada.
Mike Malott.
Yeah, on 297. But nobody was expecting that. So yeah, I don't know. These veterans are not to be discounted whenever fighting them, and yeah, we'll see. Be a good one.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you both. I could see it definitely upset being brought to it. I'm glad you brought up the Mike Malott versus Neil Magny fight. That's what I was going to bring up. We've seen crazier things happen. Ian Gary obviously did struggle against Neil Magny, but he got the job done. And I think I can't see Ian Gary just finishing Jeff Neal very easily. I think this one's going to be a battle, and these two guys are very battle worn and very strong. And I think Ian Gary probably is going to muscle this one out via decision. So hopefully we'll get a good one either way. And hopefully I never have to hear about the drama with his girlfriend ever again. All right. This one I've been waiting for a while. This is my potential fight of the night. This is one that I definitely I was shocked that this was so low on the card. I thought this could have been the co-main event itself. But Merab Dvalishvili, coming off a win against Peter Yan, looking to extend his 9-win streak to 10. Funny enough, I like to bring this stat up because 8 of those wins came from decision. He only had one finish on Marlon Moraes back at 266, which I found was funny because Volk also fought on that card. So Merab looking to fight on another Volk card is kind of humorous to me. Merab has the most takedowns in the division, beating Henry's record out. But Henry brought up a good point in his media day interview where he said, yeah, that's great. You have all the takedowns, but what are you going to do with it? American wrestling is still here. He's definitely a guy who can show levels, but the 37-year-old guy, former double champ, coming off a loss to Aljamain Sterling back in May of last year. He had a 3-year hiatus before that fight when he got his win against Dominic Cruz in May of 2020. It was on a 6-fight win streak until then. And then, awkwardly enough, takes off the gloves, I think, on that Aljo card, and then said he didn't retire. So normally when you take the gloves off in the ring, that signals that you're done. But nonetheless, Henry says in an interview, the rumors are true. It is gold or bust. So if he loses, it does look like he can kind of chip away and will his way out and probably retire from the UFC on this one. I wouldn't be shocked if he does or doesn't. But the last thing I'll say is the awkward coach interaction. Did you guys see what happened there?
Yeah, that was disgusting. Henry, I know, prided himself on being the cringe king. That was too far. You keep business like that behind closed doors and not on the UFC show. That ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't come to shock, but this is going to be a ringer from the Ring Boys. We're all rocking with Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. I will say one point. I know we're going to see eye to eye on this, so I came with a surprise question to you boys. Henry's normally been I think since 2018, all of his fights have been at 5 rounds. So he's saying he's training for 5 rounds, and that's great. But you got to remember, Merab also has a gas tank. So how do you guys think, Henry approaches this if he is going to pull off this upset? If he's trying to, poke at it and you have to win the first 2 rounds rather than get the submission, and which I don't think he would do over Merab. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
So I think it's kind of disrespectful to be saying that Merab Dvalishvili has a gas tank. He has the best gas tank in the entire UFC, in my opinion. This goes towards Cejudo's advantage, keeping Dvalishvili at 3 rounds, because Merab doesn't stop. And the reason he has the most takedowns in this division is because he literally doesn't stop. It's his style of chain wrestling that Cejudo hasn't seen from anyone before. I just want to talk a little bit more about this matchup. Cejudo, obviously gold medalist in wrestling. His last fight against Aljamain Sterling, very, very close. Definitely could see that Cejudo could have won that fight. But I think that for a while now, Dvalishvili has been the best fighter in this division. Yes, he doesn't get too much ground and pound done, but he gets people down and he keeps people down. And if they get up, they end up right back down. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two wrestling styles match up, because it's not going to be easy to take down Henry Cejudo, but I can imagine that Dvalishvili will keep on trying, and Cejudo won't be able to stay away from all of them. He's getting up there in age. He hasn't been in the ring too much, but neither has Merab. Merab said that he wouldn't fight his friend Aljo for the title, and that has really cost him. And I think Dana White has punished him for a little bit, and that's why he hasn't been getting in the ring too much. This will be such an exciting fight. It's gonna be wrestling all the way. Cejudo probably has the advantage in the striking, but Merab, he will be relentless in trying to get close and trying to take down Cejudo. And I don't expect this to be a finish in any sort of way. But the question is, can Cejudo get up and do damage when he is up? Because I expect him getting taken down more than he's able to take down Dvalishvili.
Ready?
Yeah, I agree, and it's looking like you're going to get 3 points on your fantasy rankings here, because you do have Merab as one of your folks. So I'm excited for you because I think he's going to win, and I do believe it's going to be by decision. I agree with literally everything you said. The wrestling style is very different than what Henry's used to, and I think Dvalishvili, not just the gas tank. I think this guy is like actually literally insane. So there is going to be nothing stopping him in the ring, and he will get the win. I think over the past month or so, he's like become my favorite fighter in the UFC. The skits on Twitter are absolutely hilarious. Just the trash talk is too good. He's not like making anything too personal. He's making sure everything's kind of fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. We're going to see probably what most folks hate in mixed martial arts, but it's going to be very high level wrestling. So I am looking forward to it, and we're going to see Merab hit another one in the win column, and we're going to see Henry Cejudo retire, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Boy, if he pulls this upset off and somehow goes up and gets the belt and proves us wrong, I swear to God. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
He did beat Mighty Mouse back in the day. So,
yeah, true.
But it's been many years.
It has been many years. All right, middleweight fight. Prize fight on the main card. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus, as I like to call him, Roman No Nickname Kopilov. Anthony Hernandez minus 250, Roman plus 205. And Artie, do me a favor and hit that bell, because underdog value here. We're all going with Roman here. Unless, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Roman Kopilov takes this on a month's notice. Ikram Aliskarov was scheduled for this fight, had to pull out for staph infection. But these lines, man, can we talk about how widespread, like plus 205? Give me that every day of the week.
I mean, it has to be because this is last minute for Kopilov. If this was a scheduled fight, I can't imagine it being plus 205. The things that he's done lately, he came in as a super hyped prospect, had a few setbacks early on, but he's been on a tear lately. His striking is so pure, some of the best in the middleweight division, and he's only on the up. I can only see these lines happening because they think that Kopilov hasn't been training, but I can't imagine he hasn't been training. He's hungry. He's ready to move up the rankings. This will be a great fight. Anthony Hernandez, great fighter. Roman Kopilov, amazing striker. I'm so excited for this fight. That being said, really sad that we don't get to see Aliskarov. His only loss in his life, I believe, is to Khamzat Chimaev, and that was a wild highlight. But that's also a great guy in the middleweight division that we need to see more of. But Roman Kopilov gets his chance to be on a main card at a fantastic UFC event, and I think he's going to pull through. And absolutely, plus 205 for this guy. It's a great line.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And Roman Kopylov is one of my favorite fighters as well, outside of Dvalishvili, but more for the talent of it rather than like he's kind of a funny, cool like aura guy. Roman actively does sambo, so he's always training. Anthony Hernandez was going to be a fight that he was going to have last September, so he was already preparing for this fight previously, and then Anthony Hernandez pulled out. I think honestly, Aliskerov or Kopylov, I think this was going to be a layup from Dana for one of these guys to take that number 13 spot, or maybe even a little bit higher. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited that it's Roman Kopylov. He is, like you said, his striking is incredible. If you go back and watch the fights, he's not just going for like just headshots, trying to knock people out. He's showing great body shots. And given that he is a Sambo champion, he is a good wrestler. I mean, we haven't seen too much of it in the UFC because he has been getting his wins by TKO. But I am excited to see this fight. Roman, in my opinion, is somebody who could be champion in this division if he continues on the winning trend.
I agree on the champion calls. I agree all across the board with you guys. And the guy moved to Dagestan for a reason. Like, he's just there for not reasons outside of winning a belt. And I love how you brought up that aura, because only 4 guys on this card, in my eyes, just to bring it up, actually have that aura. And, you know, the older we get, I feel like the less and less we see aura. We see guys just coming into the UFC just to make a name for themselves. You know, we got football players in the mix now. It's like, stay in your league. But nonetheless, Ringer from the Ring, boys. Hopefully Roman Kopylov is the first underdog of the year that we all call. I'm glad we're all rocking with the Russian. We'll see what he can do come Saturday night. Before I move along, do you guys think Ikram for that Saudi card in June? Ikram before then? You think we see Ikram? You know, I think the earliest we see him is that Saudi card. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's going to be present on that one. I think that's like, if you're a Dagestani fighter and you want somebody that's ranked because they know that they're going to get paid as well, because that will sell, you have to show up for that card. So I'm hoping there's a couple of fights coming off. Nurmagomedov is going to be fighting for UFC. One of the fight cards coming up. So I'm assuming he's getting that out of the way because he wants to have a ranked fighter and that Saudi Arabia card. But like, you have to be on that card if you're a Dagestani fighter, just because it's like almost like home turf for one. But also, like I said, I think there's just a lot of money coming out of that as well. So you've got to be there.
Yeah, I just want to see him fight. I don't care why.
Couldn't agree more. I want to see Ikram back in the ring as fast as possible. Moving along, we got Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. Amanda Lemos, another ringer for the Ring Boys. Amanda obviously coming off that loss to Zhang Weili back in August 2023. 2-win streak before then, back in 2022. She looked like she had a really solid year. She was getting shouts for Female Fighter of the Year that year. But she's doing her best to try to get back in the mix. I completely forgot that she was 36 years old. So it's like, are we on some Henry energy and going gold for bust? Or are we just looking to stay getting paychecks? So we'll have to see what's next in store for her. Obviously in strawweight, women's, you know, they take their fights very strategically. But man, after we took Mackenzie Dern, when I was going to the pick sheet, I swear to God, if any of you guys had Mackenzie Dern, I was going to give you guys an earful. I'm glad we all see eye to eye on this one. Mackenzie Dern coming off that loss to Jessica Andrade that we had. Jessica was on like a 3 or 4 fighting loss streak. So that was a really bad loss for her. And she's going to need a win, you know, as she takes this fight also on short notice. So bad loss, taking a fight against a cold-blooded killer on short notice. Not a good cocktail for Mackenzie Dern. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you know, that last fight with Mackenzie Dern, we were all shocked. It was just such a terrible performance. Like, she forgot to show up for the fight. So I don't know what type of Mackenzie Dern to expect at this fight. I hope we get a competitive Mackenzie Dern. I don't know if we ever got an explanation for why she looked so bad at that last fight. Amanda Lemos, you did mention her age. You know, to me, it feels like she's been getting better and better with age. So we'll see how this is. Great striking from Lemos. She's super fast, even though she's getting up there. So I think it'll be a pretty good fight. It kind of just depends on what Mackenzie Dern we see. If this fight was booked last year and I didn't see this last Mackenzie Dern fight, I would consider Dern. But Lemos has looked really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Amanda Lemos as well, just because I think she's a much better fighter. I don't know why I agreed with you guys ever on the last Mackenzie Dern pick. That was awful. Outside issues, divorce or not, like that was poor performance. Like
So bad.
if you're not gonna show up to the fight, just pull out. There really is no reason to like show up and get absolutely destroyed in like on national television, right? But Amanda Lemos at 115 is somebody that actually finishes fights. So I think this will be exciting nonetheless. I think there is a chance, like Doc said, there she has really good striking. She's able to pull out a couple of submissions as well. So maybe we'll see this end in the second round, maybe in the third. But I don't know. It'll be cool to see this go not to decision, because that's the women's strawweight division. We need some knockouts.
We need something. Something. You got to do something. Yeah, we're sorry for influencing you on the Mackenzie Dern decision. That was terrible, man. I'm also, I forgot it is Lemos, right? That's how you pronounce it, Doc? Well,
they say on the streams, so I'm going to go with Lemos. I believe in him.
It's funny that I'm so bad at pronouncing Brazilian names, and we come up to this fight. So I did my research for this one, and I have it 100% accurately. So
let's hear it.
It's Marcus Rogério G. Lima coming off a loss to Derek Lewis. He got KO'd in like 33 seconds at UFC 291. I also thought it was a cool permutation that Marcus Rogério G. Lima fought Waldo and Andrei Arlovsky, and those two ended up fighting, and it was one of the worst fights I've seen in a while. So that's why I switched. I was originally going to pick Justin Tafa personally, but I saw that for Marcus, and I was like, yeah, after you get banged out by Derek Lewis, you're coming back with a vengeance. That's not going to happen to you again at heavyweight, or at least in his head. I think he's going to come in. He's going to try to do his best to finish Justin Tafa and get this win. Justin Tafa obviously coming off that win against Austin Lane, which they had to remake that fight due to a no contest, but inevitably Justin Tafa got the win. UFC 293 when Izzy lost to Sean. That was a tremendous night for me. 3 fight win streak before that, looking to keep it going. All of his wins coming in the first round in the UFC. It seems the longer his fights go, the more in trouble he becomes. So we'll see if that works to G. Lima's advantage. But lastly, I completely forgot 8-year difference between these two. Like, that's insane for a heavyweight fight. Like, I mean, this is a coin. I don't think these odds are right. -150 plus 125. I could see this being a pick 'em, but like a coin flip. But hey, we'll have to come wait and see Saturday night. Artie, what are your thoughts?
I think Justin Tafa knocks this dude out. I think once your chin gets tested at 37, 38 years old in the heavyweight division, there is not much that really is going to hold up. I think we've seen that also from somebody like Derek Lewis, the person who knocked him out. It's just time will catch up with you, and especially when you're a guy like this where maybe endurance training isn't at the top of the list because you're going in there looking for knockouts. Obviously, Marcos is somebody who does have some wrestling in his background, but Justin Tafa, at 30 years old, has a solid chin. The fights that I've seen him come into, he has taken a few on the chin, but he stayed up, and that's very impressive in the heavyweight division. As he says, if he reaches, he teaches. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm a big Justin Tafa fan, so I hope he gets the finish.
Yeah, so I have a few things to say. One, I don't know if you remember that no contest with Austin Lane. It looked like Justin Tafa's eye was essentially popping out. It was like a terrible eye poke. So he did recover from that, and he did end up beating Austin Lane. So Marcos Rogério, his chin did get tested against Derek Lewis. He ate that knee, and it took Derek Lewis a lot of time to get him out of the ring after that. before getting knocked out there, I don't think he had ever been knocked out in his life. I don't. You can fact check me, but I just remember his chin being insane up until then. So maybe after this first time it gets like broken, that it's never going to be the same. That's very possible. I didn't consider the fact that he is 38 and recovering from a knockout like that, I'm sure, isn't great. But I do think that he has tremendous durability. I know that Tafa doesn't have the gas tank. And Rogerio de Lima, although he might not look like he's the fittest guy, for some reason he's able to go many rounds in the heavyweight division. He got a lot better with age. Early on in his career, he kept on having losses, and then he built up a pretty good win streak. So I do think that it's gonna be Tafa throwing bombs. I think that it's not gonna be a walk off knockout. But hey, that would be fun to see.
Yeah, and I think Tafa's a really good counter striker, so I don't think he's really looking to go out and throw bombs. He's much better timed. And just a fun fact, Justin Tafa beat Parker Porter, so he's closer to John Jones than Marcos Rogério is. So, whatever.
Did his brother also beat him?
I don't know.
I
just know he beat Parker Porter, and Parker Porter retired, and everybody was like, "Who's gonna fight John Jones now?"
I'll say Tafa. Both Tafa brothers. They kind of remind me of Mark Hunt, UFC legend. So
Junior Tafa also did beat Parker Porter, so they the twin energy. Are they the heavyweight? What is it? The brothers, Bashrat brothers?
Yeah. It's the Tafa gang, dude. They have shirts and everything.
All right. Artie's rocking with the Tafa gang. I switched my pick from the Tafa gang because I think Marcus Giolima gets this one on a boring decision, potentially, if they gas out and can't knock each other out. And if his chin wears, so be it. Whatever. But yeah, I can't talk much about these guys. I did a little bit of research. I'm excited. Justin Tafa is always a fun bet. So won't be shocked if he gets the win. All right, moving on to Doc's lock of the card. Rinya Nakamura. No, I'm just kidding. Rinya Nakamura versus Carlos Vera. This one was actually scheduled as the second fight the entirety of the when this card was made. They made the main event, and then they just threw Rinya Nakamura on. They're like, yeah, you'll fight someone. So this one was like Rinya Nakamura versus anyone for like 3 months in a row. And finally they signed Carlos Vera to just throw kind of just meat to the tiger, kind of minus 1300. Are we serious? Why is this fight even made? This should have been the first like fight on the card. Back to Artie, your point that you make, that they always are mindful of, this is the first fight to start the whole card off. I think this would have been a good one to see if Nakamura could do something crazy, but I'm surprised to see this one higher. I mean, this is obviously a ringer from the Ring Boys. We're not going to ring the bell on minus 1300, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Doc, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, apologies for not being on that last episode. Like Alex was saying, I was out of town. But it was a great point made by Artie that sometimes these prelim spots, they're arranged in a way that the UFC knows that you're going to have a superstar on your hands, and they want to showcase him. Unfortunately, he's not in the first spot in the prelims, which I think would probably be a better location for him. But yeah, Rinya Nakamura, essentially this is a fight just to get him a little bit more experience. Super talented fighter. Carlos Vera, don't know much about him, but it does seem like he's just out there to have Rinya Nakamura use him as a punching bag. So I hope Rinya Nakamura does great. He's not known to be a finisher in the UFC. Maybe if he gets a knockout, that'll be a big move for him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because Rinya Nakamura is a pretty well-rounded fighter. And actually, funny enough, I was scrolling through Instagram today and I saw a picture of Rinya Nakamura with Justin Gaethje training over in Denver. So I think he's going to be ready to go. He's training in high altitudes, so his gas tank will be there if it needs to go to decision. But somebody like Carlos Vera, who is, in my opinion, and just looking at his record, not at UFC caliber, coming up to fight somebody who is that good of a young prospect, I understand why the odds are the way they are. And this would have been an absolutely sick first fight on the early prelims. So that's all right. Like I said, still looking forward to this one. Ilia Nakamura, will be cool to see him take care of business.
As well-rounded as he is, he's mostly known to be a wrestler. So it's cool that he's training with Gaethje and in Denver for like elevation training. So now he definitely has a gas tank. So first round submission sub. That's my luck of the card. No, I'm just kidding. We'll have to keep an eye on where Ilia Nakamura goes, and obviously I think he'll keep his undefeated streak after Saturday night. Unless Carlos Vera catches him with something crazy, then that'll be viral on YouTube and everywhere. Nonetheless, we move. Light heavyweight bout between Zhang Minyang and Brenson Ribeiro. Zhang minus 120, Brenson plus 100. Two templated fighters. They're like literally nearly identical record, identical height, but Brenson has a huge reach advantage at 6 inches. I'm shocked this one wasn't a pick'em. And I'm also shocked that I'm the only one that took Brenson Ribeiro. As I think that these are just, two guys that are just power shooters. Ribeiro has the reach advantage. I just like that more. So I went that, and I like to root for the underdog on the prelims, obviously.
Yeah. I'm going to say that I picked Zhang Mingyang. I'm just a fan of young Asian fighters coming into the UFC. And I think that what they're putting out there is better than what some of the young Brazilians are putting out there. But I would be lying if I said that I've seen both of them have like storied careers. I haven't really seen them fight. This is just based on location.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing that you said. Just there seems to be a slightly different attitude with fighters coming out of like Dagestan and Southeast Asia, where they seem to train differently. This is to fight for, I'm not going to say their country necessarily, but to bring pride to their family and their people, because they don't really care too much about the money. They just want to win. They want to make the name for themselves. And that's why with Zhang Yang, they're both coming off of like a UFC TV show. So Brenson Ribeiro was on Dana White Contender Series, and Zhang Yang was Road to the UFC. So both brand new fighters to the UFC, both super young. Their reach advantage maybe is why the odds are this low, but we'll see. That's why we watch these fights.
I'm glad you brought up the country aspect, because if you really think about it, stylistically, that's what this is. Like, Zhang Minyang has only fought Asian fighters, has only fought people from his country. Brenson Ribeiro has only fought Brazilian fighters and has only fought Brazilian people from his country. So it's cool to see, an Asian mixed martial artist go against, a potential BJJ guy but he's obviously known to be a striker. So yeah, I think this will be a cool stylistic matchup. I'm glad this was on the card. I'm hoping to see some fireworks on this one. This one is one to definitely keep your eye on. Moving along to the early prelims. We got Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow. And we have a ringer for the Ring Boys.
I'm going.
Yeah, Josh Quinlan coming off a loss against Trey Waters back in April last year. 1-1 in the UFC, looking to go above 500. We'll see if Josh Bushido Quinlan can do it. I love keeping a track of the nicknames on the guys in the prelims because they're normally hilarious, because Danny Barlow is looking to extend his undefeated record, and I'm riding with him solely for his nickname. Left hand to God, all caps, one word. Let's go. Let's go. What are you guys' thoughts on this fight?
I'll let Doc go.
Yeah, I'll just make a point. I'm a big fan of high significant strikes per minute averages, and we look at Danny Barlow, 12. We're in the double digits here. That's some good stuff. Let's see some fireworks fly in the welterweight division. Kind of heavy to see that many strikes per minute. But again, another fight where I don't know the guys too well, but just looking at the numbers, 79-inch reach, 12 strikes per minute. Let's see Danny Barlow knock this guy out.
Artie?
Yeah, 100% agree. Danny Barlow, I think, is a better prospect for the UFC. Josh Binlong coming off a loss in his last fight. And when you are this young in the UFC and you're trying to prove a name for yourself, I just don't see anybody really that impressive on his list of wins, and I just gotta go with somebody whose nickname is a left hand to God. I cannot wait for that to get called out by what's his name?
Bruce Buffer.
Bruce like that's gonna be hilarious. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it should be an interesting fight. Both pretty young, so both still pretty new to the UFC, so we'll see.
Danny
He better
Barlow.
raise his hand. If Bruce better raise his left hand to the sky.
Well, he's going to be in the blue corner, right? So it would have to be his right hand.
He'll give him the Bruce 180, flip it around.
We'll have to wait and see. Oban Elliott versus Valentine Woodburn. This is his actual name, so I'm just going to go with Valentine Woodburn solely because it's Valentine's Day today. Nah, I'm just kidding. Oban Elliott. God, that was such a cringy one. Oban Elliott, the heavy favorite, looking to keep his UFC career going. Minus 310 is a big line. I don't really like betting big line guys like this, but I think after witnessing Valentine Woodburn just get absolutely destroyed by Bo Nickel in 38 seconds, I think his UFC days, in my eyes, could be limited if he doesn't put up, a decent bout on this one. So,
yeah, that's Val's claim to fame is losing over there to Bo Nickel. I will say everybody expected Bo Nickel to win. Val took that on short notice. Big power puncher, but looking at his highlights, he's knocked people out, but he is so slow, and that's why there are different leagues here in mixed martial arts. So don't know Oban too well, but Val just looks so slow in his previous fights that I don't think that he's ready for the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 inches of height difference. Val and anybody who Bo Nickel has fought has just been coming off the couch pretty much. Wasn't this guy mowing lawns when he got the call? Because that's his second job. So I mean, Oban obviously coming off, I think it's the Contender Series, so he's
Yeah.
really about it. So I mean, I think this is a layup from Dana to make sure that he stays in the UFC and get his first dub on a card like this.
I was laughing so hard because I looked up the odds for when Bo Nickel fought Val Woodburn. Do you want to know what
minus 3,000? It was like something insane.
2,500 to open.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Again, why are we making these fights, Dana? I know it's not you for every single one, but come on now.
Layups. Everybody gets a layup in their first 2.
And that's why there's a chance that Ian Gary loses. He's been fed some rocks.
Stop. Well, nonetheless, we got Oban Elliott, ringer for the Ring Boys, and hopefully, if you need anything, if you're in the area, call Woodland LLC Landscaping. We'll find you a business card for him sometime soon. Andrea Lee fighting Miranda Fear the Maverick. Andrea Lee on a 3-fight losing streak. She's the underdog, plus 155 against Miranda's minus 185. We'll see. She lost to Natalia Silva, I think, back at 292. We'll see if she can bounce back strong. I love Miranda just for her nickname, Miranda Fear the Maverick. That's awesome. She's obviously a submission expert coming off a win against Priscilla Cachoeira. But she lost to Jasmine Jazz DeVicious, so she's not better than her. How to throw that one in there. But she took her decision, so I think that's still pretty cool in my eyes. But I think we're going to all fear the Maverick. I think we all got Miranda Maverick, and this one's a ringer for the Ring Boys to start the show and end the show for us.
Yeah, I'll just say that, Miranda Maverick, she was a very hyped up prospect. She thought she was going to be one of the youngest female champions in UFC history. And then she got derailed a bit. So her losses in the UFC have been to Macy Barber, Erin Blanchfield, and Jasmine Jasdovicius. So 3 great young fighters in the UFC. Miranda Maverick is getting this opener, the coveted opening fight on the card against someone that hasn't won in forever. So Miranda Maverick better put on a show here. She's getting the spotlight here, and I think she'll do it. You know, she is a good fighter that's learning more and more. She has great takedowns. She has good stand-up fighting. So let's see what she does here. But yeah, I'm excited to see Maverick hopefully win. If she loses, that's going to really hurt her stock.
Yeah, and kind of crazy because I just clicked on her profile, but she's been fighting since October 24th, 2020, which was UFC 254. So at 26 years old, she's been in the UFC for quite some time. This is obviously, like I've been saying, I think there's a few layups. Everybody gets one, and I think this one might be for her from Dana, but as we've seen in the women's fights, you just can't really predict what's going to happen, and maybe that's why the lines are kind of closer. But nonetheless, looking forward to this one.
Wait, that was the same card when Khabib retired, right? She was 22 then. That's insane. Yeah. Wow, that's
Khabib versus Gaethje. Yeah, that is crazy. She's been in the UFC for a long time, so she's been fighting since she was 21.
That's crazy.
Yeah. In the UFC. Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's a decade difference between these two. Doc, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it was, Miranda Maverick and Macy Barber were both claiming that they were going to be like the youngest female UFC champion. Macy Barber is even younger than Maverick and has been fighting longer in the UFC. But yeah, I know Macy Barber's not on this card, but two great young fighters. Maverick kind of slipped up way more than Macy Barber did, but I hope this is a layup, and I hope she makes it.
Macy Barber's been fighting since 2018.
Yeah, they're super young, just great prospects for the women's division. So
that's so funny. Her nickname's the Future. It's like, when you're 40, what are you gonna do here?
The past.
If she ever makes the UFC Hall of Fame, she should definitely change her name to the Past. But nonetheless, that's a wrap from the coverage of the cards. We're going to do something different this time around and bring up the wheel of names and do our lock of the cards live for you guys. So with further ado, we'll have the first spin.
New segment brought to you by my cats who constantly interrupt the broadcast.
Artie, you get the first pick for lock of the card.
Let's go. Taking? I am taking Merab.
Good pick. Oh, all right. You can move.
Actually, wait, no. I want Roman.
No, there's no take backsies.
I already told you he was my first. I literally messaged it to you earlier.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Artie takes Roman Kopylov. And I'm going to let Doc guess who my lock of the card's going to be.
I think that you're going to take your classic, Rinya Nakamura, as you love.
Chill out.
You're laughing, but your track record tells us that you like to take the biggest.
I'm taking Merab.
You know what's funny is we were at a meeting earlier today, and I was calling him out for that, and he's like, "Well, Doc's going to say the same exact thing." So
I take Jan Silva once because I knew he was going to win, and obviously I get flamed for it. But I'm not taking the safe route on this one. All right, that leaves you for your pick. I guess
I'll take the safest one here, but I think I have to take two, unfortunately,
because Rinya Nakamura. I gotcha.
Because I expect this fight not to happen. But Robert Whittaker is a lock on this card. But since the fight will not be happening, I'm going to take Alexander Volkanovski as my backup for when this fight doesn't happen. No. I think you're pretty getting wrong. My number one is Robert Whittaker, but we're recording early this week, recording way before the weigh-ins.
No,
way before the weigh-ins.
This works.
I think that's right. That's right. No, what's he going to not have a lock of the card?
Yeah, I don't want my Robert Whittaker wins by default because Paulo Costa doesn't show up. Is that what we're saying here?
Imagine
it's gonna be no fun.
Imagine Paulo Costa wins now. We would look so dumb. No, I baited you for the Rinya Nakamura pick, but I thought you were going to default to Ian Gary. But no, I'm glad we did the locks. We're going to do this going forward so we can show the picks overall. And surprise, I can do this and show the fantasy. Artie has Topuria going against Volkanovski, even though he picked against him in his pick. Interesting strategy there, but
it's a good strategy because he knows that Ilia Topuria is going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Although one thing we didn't mention is Topuria said that he doesn't want to give too many chances to people in the featherweight division. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And then Doc, you got Merab against Henry. So I think you should be getting 3 points. Yeah, you should be getting 3 points there. We'll see if Artie can squeeze 3 or 5 points.
I get 1. No matter what, I get 1. So
he has to show up. He could pull a Paulo Costa.
1 second. He has to make weight. We have new rules here.
Yeah, he might get pull 0.
You know? He's gonna make weight. This is a championship fight. You can't do that.
I don't know. That 17 pounds is concerning though.
Whatever.
But nonetheless, let me just go a little further out. I don't know how you'll be able to see, but these are the fantasy results. Just to reiterate, Artie in the lead with 6, myself with 1, Doc with 4. As of Valentine's Day, these are your Ring Boys fantasy results. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think that this was a pretty comprehensive discussion about this car. You know, we're clearly very excited for it, so I really hope it doesn't let us down.
I agree, and I'm looking forward to this one. Like I said, I want to see Alex Volkanovski back in the win column. Merab obviously putting an end to Henry Cejudo will be great. I'm tired of seeing Henry Cejudo. It's cringe. It's disgusting. What he does is not good for the brand of the UFC. And then I want to see Roman Kopylov win. It's going to be big. I'm excited for him as well because, in my opinion, and I know you guys said that it was a little bit late notice, but 4 weeks is good enough for a guy that he's already prepared for before. So I think he's coming out with a win in that one. And if you're a bettor, those are really, really good odds. Trust me.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a great card to bounce back from an awful 297. We have a great card in 299. Like, it's insanely, the card caliber on that one from the main event on. And then obviously UFC 300 around the corner. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's in store for us for the UFC. But nonetheless, this has been the Ring Boys, Ringside Nation, for the common man, by the common man. We love you guys, and we'll see you guys in the post show. Bye-bye.
So we're taking that to fire after it goes up.
No, I want to hear